that point in your life that you're joined somebody you've spent your whole life with, basically, and they're dead, and you know what's coming.
Ronnie and Donnie Galyon, the longest-living conjoined twins in history, have a very unique story. Although they share one body, they have different personalities and have endured many challenges related to health, emotions, and personal life throughout their lives. What have they experienced? Were they ever separated? Let's explore the unique lives of these two brothers to find satisfying answers. And I want to know if you have ever encountered a case of conjoined twins like this. Share your story below. Now let's go on the unique journey of Ronnie and Donnie. The unique journey of Ronnie and Donnie. A strange thing happened on a cold fall day in the Ohio town of Dayton on October 28, 1951. A baby boy was born that day. Don and Ronnie Galyon came into our world. But they were not like other children. Ronnie and Donnie were born with a congenital defect that prevented them from developing completely independently. Ronnie and Donnie Galyon were conjoined twins who were joined at the chest and abdomen, a condition known in the medical community as parapagus. This is a very rare case, with only 1 in every 200,000 babies being born this way. Very few people can claim to be conjoined twins, making their story extremely special. The news of Ronnie and Donnie shocked and horrified the public. No one knew if these children would survive because being born with their skulls fused made life very difficult. When they first saw their children, Wesley and Eileen Galyon were stunned. They were worried about their children and did not know what to expect. In what ways would Ronnie and Donnie be able to live normal lives? Would doctors be able to tell them apart? Doctors warned that separating the twins was a very dangerous procedure that could harm or kill them. Therefore, they decided not to perform any surgery. Because of their biological compatibility, the two brothers would have to live together in the same house. In addition, the entire town of Dayton was stunned. Donnie and Ronnie were the center of attention. Thoughts about the twins' plight divided the audience. No one knew what would happen next, despite the doctor's attempts to explain it to the family. Ronnie and Donnie had a lot of health problems when they were kids. Can you imagine the inconvenience here? Maybe the truth is more than what you think. Let's continue to follow childhood health problems. As a result of the fact that they shared a chest and stomach, it was difficult for them to move about, eat, and breathe. Throughout their lives, their parents were always concerned about their health, and the medical professionals did all in their ability to ensure that they stayed healthy. Everyone had a significant amount of fear around the prospect that Ronnie and Donnie may end their relationship. Following a comprehensive investigation, the medical professionals concluded that the boys had an abnormally high number of essential organs in common, including the hearts and the stomachs. It would be quite dangerous to make an effort to separate them. Given that the twins stayed attached, their family was faced with the challenge of figuring out how to provide care for two boys who could not be divided. The Galyon family needed to gain a significant amount of medical knowledge in a short amount of time. The twins needed to keep themselves in a condition of perpetual relaxation in order to ensure that they had the best possible health. Even though it was challenging, their doting parents did all in their power to provide for their needs by feeding, washing, and dressing them. The twins became older, which resulted in a rise in the number of people who were interested in them. As a result of the fact that no one has ever seen twins joined at the joints before, people would sometimes stop what they were doing to gaze at Ronnie and Donnie. They were famous, but for all the wrong reasons. The boys earned celebrity. As a result of the fact that some people could not comprehend what Ronnie and Donnie were going through, there were occasions when they found themselves feeling more like curiosities than true children. Despite the challenges they faced, Ronnie and Donnie were able to prevail. As a result of the assistance they received from their loved ones, they were able to develop their resilience. The notion that the lives of the Galyon twins would be anything but straightforward was, however, something that was common knowledge. When Ronnie and Donnie first began their journey through childhood, they had a difficult time navigating the complexities of family life, coping with financial concerns, figuring out how other people saw them, and dealing with their odd condition. How did their family deal with this harsh reality? Did they receive any help? Or did they make any regrettable decisions? Let me find out. Financial difficulties, the experiences that Ronnie and Donnie have had as fused twins, make it far more difficult for them to grow up in a conventional childhood family. The Galyon family did not have a prosperous financial situation. Taking care of the two boys who lived with them was a costly and time-consuming endeavor. Due to their condition, the twins required continuous medical attention, as well as additional support with even the most fundamental activities of daily living, such as eating and moving about. As a consequence of this, their parents utilized their financial resources. The Galyon family never had the funds to cover the cost of hospitalization, regardless of how frequently they needed to attend. Even though Wesley, their father, put in a lot of effort, he was still unable to afford to cover all of their medical costs. Eileen was their mother and took care of them when they were at home. She worried about how they would be able to pay for all of their costs for a considerable amount of time. Even when the children became older, the costs continued to be a problem. As a result of the immense amount of care that they demanded, their family was getting increasingly overwhelmed. There were times when Ronnie and Donnie's parents were unable to provide for all of their requirements, although they loved them. The whole family was under a lot of stress. This is when their dad made a tough choice that would alter the twins' lives for all time. What did he come up with? Did it work? Without further ado, here's the answer: change life. To participate in traveling exhibitions and sideshows alongside Ronnie and Donnie, Wesley decided to accompany them on their journeys. The 1960s were a time when people were anxious to see the strange, and many of them paid to see identical twins back then. To put it another way, I am as content as a lark. That's right, I'm beaming. There were several sideshows back then, even though it would seem strange to think about now. From Wesley's perspective, this was the only way to generate enough money to cover the costs of his son's medical treatment. Ronnie and Donnie were well-known entertainers who would appear in touring circuses and sideshows. For some reason, people would simply stand there and stare at them because they were so awful looking. The twins did not always like being the center of attention for any given moment. Sometimes it was rather difficult to do. Even though they were youngsters, everyone regarded them as if they were strange things, rather than genuine, unique humans. They traveled across the country as a family to perform the performances that the twins were in simultaneously. One time, they were referred to as the Galyon twins, and another time, they were called the lovely Conjoined twins. The entire family was going through a difficult time, although their father was able to care for them financially. Donnie and Ronnie didn't have a typical life like most kids do. They didn't go to school, and they couldn't make friends easily because they were always on the road. Despite this, the twins tried to make the best of their situation. Do they feel bored? Sure they do. But how do they overcome it? Let's follow along. Try to take advantage of the situation. They were inseparable, and they were aware that to succeed in all they did, they needed to collaborate. The fact that they participated in the sideshows allowed them to maintain their financial stability, but it also meant that they were always in the spotlight. Some people viewed them as a spectacle, which might be quite challenging for young males to deal with. Ronnie and Donnie were a source of fascination for the general public, but they were not always aware of the challenges that the twins encountered behind the scenes. They became famous as a result of the attention, but it also caused them a great deal of emotional anguish. Having to grow up in the public eye was challenging, and it had a significant impact on Ronnie and Donnie's whole lives. Medical treatment that Ronnie and Donnie received. In the past, two sweet young men went by the names of Ronnie and Donnie Galyon. They were not just ordinary twins, rather they were conjoined twins, which means that they were linked at the chest when they were born. On the one hand, these ties made them exceptional, but on the other hand, they also brought them certain difficulties. The arrival of Ronnie and Donnie into the world on October 28, 1951, in Dayton, Ohio, caused their parents to experience feelings of astonishment and fear. Even though they were aware of the concept of conjoined twins, they never imagined that they would have their own. It was revealed to them by their medical professionals that Ronnie and Donnie were parapagous, a rare form of conjoined twins that meant they shared certain organs and limbs for the first time. This marked the beginning of their adventure through a series of physical challenges. When they were younger, Ronnie and Donnie had to learn how to perform routine tasks jointly. Consider the experience of going on a stroll with a friend who is always at your side. That is how things worked out for them. They learned how to cooperate to go about it. There were moments when they would exchange who was in charge, and there were other occasions when they had to carefully plan out their actions. It became a delightful little dance of sorts, because if one person wanted to sprint, the other person had to keep up with them. They went so far as to devise their very own method of movement, which appeared to be a unique march that could only be performed by them. To do tasks such as eating and playing, a significant amount of collaboration was required. The table that they ate at was a unique one that allowed them to eat together close to one another. Even though they occasionally argued about what to eat, they were always able to find a way to agree. At the same time that they were enjoying their sweets together, they would giggle and say things like, "Okay, you can have the pizza if I can have the ice cream." At least once a week, they were required to visit the physician for checks. The travels were essential for the maintenance of their health. In addition to listening to their hearts, the physicians would examine their chests. Exams, on the other hand, can occasionally be a little unsettling. Being prodded and shoved was something that they did not enjoy very much. Despite this, the two young men were aware that they could rely on one another. They would make each other laugh by holding hands firmly and whispering ridiculous comments to one another to make you laugh. That made them feel more courageous. As they became older, things became more difficult for them. It turned out that some of the physicians were unable to assist them because they were so different from one another. It was difficult to locate the appropriate specialists, and they frequently had to wait for a considerable amount of time before receiving assistance. They had heard their parents talk a lot about how difficult it was to receive proper health care, and that made them feel unhappy. It was about the time when they were 10 years old that they became ill and had to spend several days in the hospital. To ensure that both of them were in good health, the physicians examined them both. The fact that they were in a new location with unfamiliar sounds and scents caused them to feel anxious, but they managed to convert it into a game. They shared the news that they were going on an exciting journey and going to a castle that was enchanted. It appeared as though they were courageous knights battling against dragons. That is at least how they perceived the medical professionals and nurses. Their ability to cope with what was going on was aided by it. Even with all of these issues, Ronnie and Donnie were quite good at adapting to new situations. In times when one of them was ill or exhausted, they learned how to assist one another. When it was necessary for one brother to take a break, the other brother would do the same thing and read or tell stories in quiet. They gained a wide understanding of the requirements of the other individual. The strength of their friendship increased as a result of all of these events. Regardless of the highs and lows that they experienced, they were aware that the fact that they were in the same position made them a team. In addition to learning to appreciate the activities that they could do together, they took pride in the things that set them apart from one another. By way of illustration, they enjoyed activities such as building model aircraft together, since it was enjoyable to collaborate on the project. Through the wonderful things that they created together, they demonstrated to everyone how skillful they were. The medical experience that Ronnie and Donnie went through taught them to be resilient in the end. During the difficult moments, they realized that they could always trust each other to help them get through it. The love, laughter, and experiences that they had in common made it a little bit simpler to deal with whatever medical issue that arose. This demonstrated that they were able to withstand any challenge that life presented to them as a group. Because Ronnie and Donnie were on their one-of-a-kind journey, they were forced to contend with both physical and mental challenges. Because of the fact that they were conjoined twins, they shared a lot of things, including their bodies. Because of this, it was difficult for them to determine who they were as individuals in their own right. However, even though they were very close friends, they desired to be perceived as two distinct individuals. When Ronnie and Donnie were younger, there were times when they were unsure of who they were for themselves. When they observed themselves in the mirror, they would occasionally question themselves, "Who am I?" This is a question that is asked by a lot of children, but theirs was a little bit different. They enjoyed spending time together, but they also had their own goals and interests outside of the relationship. It is possible that one person is more interested in the arts than in sports. While they were living together, it was essential for them to acquire the ability to accept the decisions made by one another. There were a few drawbacks associated with this. For example, when they had different opinions about what to do, they would become angry with each other and argue with each other. If Ronnie wanted to go outside and Donnie wanted to read a book, then they had to figure out a way to accommodate both of their desires. By engaging in activities like spending some time playing outside and then reading a book together, they were able to acquire the ability to identify a medium ground. To find solutions to their issues, they discovered that talking to one another was the most effective method. From one year to the next, they realized that it was okay to experience feelings of sadness sometimes. The world might be a challenging place for them to live. There were instances when others who were not aware of their circumstances would watch them and chat with them. Their feelings might be harmed and they could feel isolated as a result of this. In those times when they were feeling low, they would come together and speak about how they were feeling. They would reassure one another that it was acceptable to be unhappy. For a time, let's all feel down together, and then we'll go do something exciting. In dealing with the situation, their parents were a great support to them. They encouraged Ronnie and Donnie to talk about how they were feeling and informed them that it was normal to feel a little bit different from what they were used to. They created a secure environment in which both boys could feel loved and disclose their feelings without fear of judgment. Sometimes they would get together with their family for movie evenings, during which they would watch comedies that would make everyone laugh and make them feel better. When Ronnie and Donnie were together, they both experienced an improvement in their feelings. When one of them was feeling down, the other would try to cheer him up by telling him jokes or anecdotes that were humorous. Laughter and a sense of optimism were brought about by the activities that they enjoyed playing. To get through the challenging times, they discovered that laughing benefited them. Their lives were filled with moments of uncertainty and melancholy, but they also discovered how to appreciate the things that set them apart from others. They came to realize that their connection was one of a kind, and that the events that transpired between them served to strengthen it. The two of them encouraged one another to pursue their goals and helped each other feel better about life all around them. Because they wanted to demonstrate to others that diversity can be beautiful, they felt obligated to share their experience with more people. Donnie and Ronnie were aware that they were content with the position they had. They were aware of the fact that they were one of a kind, yet they learned to take pleasure in that fact. The love and support that they received from their family, friends, and each other was precious to them. It eventually got ingrained in their identity. After their emotional journey, Ronnie and Donnie realized that it was acceptable to be unapologetically themselves. They can be unique while yet experiencing joy. The fact that they were able to laugh and cry together was evidence that they were stronger as a unit and that their relationship was the single most important factor in their lives. Not only did Ronnie and Donnie have to deal with physical difficulties, but they also had to deal with considerable social obstacles in their contact with their peers and society, as well as social difficulties and people they encountered in public. Ronnie and Donnie had a lot of fun as kids, but school was one of the most important parts of their lives. Like many other kids, Ronnie and Donnie are eager to go to school. But can you guess what happens next? Let's follow along. One of the most important parts of life. Because they were bound together at the joints, it was rather challenging for them to learn new things and establish new acquaintances. The vast majority of children attended school, participated in playtime, and immediately established friends. Ronnie and Donnie, on the other hand, told a different narrative. The parents of the students first believed that it would be most convenient for the professors to visit them at their home. They would be able to acquire knowledge in an atmosphere that was conducive to their comfort. They were surrounded by all of their favorite toys, which resulted in a pleasant experience. While they were together, they read, conducted science, and performed math. The activities of doing crafts and listening to tales were enjoyable for them. On the other hand, they were missing out on the joy of attending a real school with other children. There were occasions when they did go to school, and it was like going to a completely different universe. Even while they enjoyed spending time with other children, there were occasions when it became too much for them. There were a few children who were intrigued by them and desired to be friends with both of them. One of the questions they would ask is, "How do you sleep?" Also, would you be able to play together? During the time that they were demonstrating to the other children how they collaborated, Ronnie and Donnie were delighted to speak about it, laugh and joke with one another. On the other hand, not every interaction was positive. Several children made fun of them because they did not comprehend what they were going through, which caused them to feel horrible about themselves. A few individuals might comment, "Take a look at those peculiar twins." In addition, children would point to them. They were depressed and felt alone as a result of this. Simply put, these two children desired to be the same as everyone else. When they went to see their parents at home, they would chat about the worst days of their lives. When they were informed by their parents that it was cool to be different, they received enormous embraces from their parents. Despite these obstacles, Ronnie and Donnie were able to acquire the skills necessary to succeed in their social sphere. It helped them become more resilient and introduced them to a large number of new people. They found happiness in being in the company of other children who liked them for who they were. Instead of dwelling on the negative things that others had to say about them, they realized that it was more essential to reflect on the positive friends they had met. One day, they decided to hold a fun game day at home, and they invited their pals to join them. They created a yard which was full of games, challenges with finances, and support from the community. The Galyon brothers, Ronnie and Donnie, were well known. Because they were conjoined twins, they traveled all over the nation, performing circus acts, and surprised people with their incredible narrative. At the age of 58, Ronnie and Donnie Galyon have the distinction of being the world's oldest conjoined twin survivors. Everyone enjoyed seeing them at the many events, exhibitions and fairs that they attended for a considerable amount of time. People would gather around them and applaud and clap as they repeated the narrative that they had just told. It was fun for them to laugh together and show how well they could work together. Things began to change, though, as time went on. There were fewer and fewer sideshows around. What is the reason here? Difficulty in attending shows. Just for a second, because the twin brothers Galyon are of the Siamese variety. Due to the growing popularity of alternative forms of entertainment, such as movies and video games, sideshow performances were more sought after by fewer and fewer shows. Donnie and Ronnie's revenue started to decline as they had a tougher time securing performances. They felt down since they enjoyed socializing and playing. They lamented the absence of enthusiastic groups and cheerleaders. Due to a lack of performance, they were unable to cover their expenses. Their money was dwindling just as they were facing mounting expenses for necessities like housing and healthcare. On certain days, they fretted over meeting basic needs like food and medical treatment. They were troubled and perpetually concerned about what was ahead. Yet they did their best to maintain an optimistic outlook and encouraged each other to keep seeking opportunities. Despite the challenges, they maintained an optimistic outlook and remained committed to their partnership. They often said things like, "We can do this," and believed that working together was crucial. Even when things seemed hopeless, they found solace in laughter and storytelling. It was almost like they had a hidden aptitude for being there for each other when times became rough. As they got older, Ronnie and Donnie had it much worse. Because their bodies shared organs and functions, they began to experience health issues. For 3 weeks, the twins were treated with blood thinners in the intensive care unit. Their medical expenses skyrocketed because they had to visit the doctor more frequently. Their inability to pay expenses was directly related to their health issues. Concerns about paying for necessary medical treatment plagued them. They looked for ways to generate money. On occasion, they would attend local events or provide brief talks. These opportunities, however, were becoming less frequent and farther between. They seemed to be fighting an uphill battle. Taking care of their health while missing playing was tough for them. They maintained their optimism despite all of these setbacks. Sitting down together, they frequently reminisced about their happier times. They found great joy in reflecting on the concerts and the joy they offered to others. They felt secure in one another's arms and confident in their ability to face any challenge that life presented. Something wonderful happened just when things looked the worst. Will their precarious lives be saved? Stay tuned, something wonderful happened. As news of Ronnie and Donnie's struggles spread, the Dayton, Ohio community quickly took notice. Many people wanted to give back for the good the twins had brought to their lives. To support the twins, they organized toy drives, bake sales, and raffles. The warmth and generosity of the community touched Ronnie and Donnie. They received hugs and love from strangers, along with food and gifts. The general mood was one of comfort, as if everyone was embracing them. The twins were deeply appreciative of the support. The offers of help overwhelmed them. Thanks to the efforts of the community, they were able to make some necessary improvements to their home. They had to adapt their living space to make it easier to move around as their health declined. Support from friends and neighbors made it easier for them to move around in a wheelchair. They have increased accessibility and comfort in their home and are grateful for all the love they have received. The emotional impact of this support has been huge, reminding Ronnie and Donnie that they are loved. Despite the hardships, the support of the community has helped them feel loved. Everyone in the neighborhood has rallied behind them, forming their own fan club. Ronnie and Donnie have overcome financial challenges, becoming celebrities through their perseverance. Despite facing many hardships throughout their lives, they have achieved greatness. Notably, in 2014, they were recognized by the Guinness World Records as the longest-living conjoined twins. Ronnie and Donnie's long lifespans made them the longest-living conjoined twins in history, a feat they were very proud of. They, along with their families and supporters, felt they deserved this recognition, and their journey became a hot topic of discussion. News of them spread quickly, with coverage in many media outlets, from television to newspapers and the internet. The twins' fame skyrocketed, and many parents of children with special needs or difficulties admired them. Their story is not only about the difficulties they overcame, but also about love and support for each other. They want people to know that they are not just a special medical case, but also human beings with feelings and aspirations. Their journey has changed the way the public views people with disabilities and conjoined twins. Their presence together is not only captivating, but also shows the power of love and faith. They have shown everyone that it is not the challenges that matter, but how we overcome them together. Ronnie and Donnie have been physically together for 58 years. They encourage people to embrace their uniqueness and help others in their community. As time went on, Ronnie and Donnie Galyon's health started to get worse. Their bodies began to slow down, even though they were strong and had lived together for a long time. It's hard to stay alive. Wonder what they went through in their later years. Did they have support, or did something miraculous happen? Explore this tumultuous journey, the last few years and death. Ronnie and Donnie have been through many challenges in life, especially as they have grown older, when their health challenges have become more apparent. Since they were infants, the twins have shared many body parts, which means that when one has a health issue, the other can feel the impact. In their later years, Ronnie and Donnie have faced many health issues, including heart disease, and often feel tired, requiring more doctor visits. Despite this, they have tried to stay positive and reminisce about the good times they had. They acknowledge that aging is a part of life, but they want to continue telling their story and inspiring others. Their family and friends have been there to support and care for them throughout this difficult time. Their bond has also grown stronger as they have overcome challenges together. The community has also been incredibly supportive, showing their gratitude for what Ronnie and Donnie have brought to their lives. At 58, Ronnie and Donnie are the world's oldest conjoined twins, and receiving medical care at home has made them more comfortable. They have shared many emotional moments in their final days. Ronnie and Donnie shared their hopes and dreams, walking together on a meaningful journey of life. They loved each other and were grateful for what they had experienced. However, a sad day came on July 4, 2020, when both passed away peacefully at the age of 68. Their neighborhood was filled with sadness. Many people expressed their respect and love for the twins, remembering how they changed their lives. News of their passing spread quickly, and everyone reflected on the valuable lessons Ronnie and Donnie left behind. They proved that differences are normal and that love and cooperation can help people overcome any challenge. What do you think of this duo? I hope that the story of Ronnie and Donnie will give people more motivation to overcome their difficulties. Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting updates. Thank you and see you in the next videos.